Welcome back to the Podcast. Remember, you do not have to drown in the sea of transition. You grab that VET S.O.S. Lifeline. We are here to help. And today we're continuing on the military effect campaign. It's our turn to serve, and we have a special guest. Everybody, I know you see this young man sitting here waiting to know who he is. Don't worry. I got the short bio, but he's going to sit down on the stoop and we're going to get the scoop of Colonel retired Mikel Burroughs. He served 37 years in the Army, Illinois National Guard, and Army Reserves. He went from E-6 Staff Sergeant to Brigade Commander. Let that sink in, everybody. From E-6 Staff Sergeant to Brigade Commander. His leadership legacy didn't end with retirement. He now serves as the CEO of Victory for Veterans, Board of Director for Reboot, and Senior Director at Undo Medical Debt. For the past 9 years, he's hosted weekly Warriors for Life peer support calls, created a safe space for healing and connection. Mikel continues to lead from the front, now in the mission to heal, serve, and support our veterans. Welcome to the school.
Thank
Mikel,
you.
how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
And this is great. I just want to say thank you for your service as a combat veteran, as a Bronze Star recipient, and as a human being that's keep willing to pay it forward. Definitely here for the military effect campaign. It's our turn to serve.
Roger that.
I know a little bit about you because I got the bio. You know, we just had a little short conversation. But what's the scoop on Mikel? Sir, I just want to hear just a little bit about your journey in life.
Well, I mean, hey, I'll make it real short. I was 17, headed nowhere. Parents signed for me in 1975. Started as a private, spent 9 years enlisted, 28 years commission, retired in 2012. In 2015, on December 8th, my father-in-law, who was a Marine veteran, Vietnam veteran, died from suicide. And I started this peer support on Saturday nights. I gifted it to Victory for Veterans when I became the chairman of the board in 2017. Upon its formation, I was the chairman for about 6 years, and now I've been the CEO for the last 3 years, so a total of 9 years with Victory for Veterans. And not only do we provide peer support 10 times a week free to veterans right from the comfort of their home, but we also provide our Life Readiness Center, where we provide hyperbaric oxygen therapy and healing for veterans in the Huntsville, Texas area, Austin, Scottsdale, Arizona, and coming soon to San Antonio.
Whoa, sir. I'm definitely going to need to know where that location is at because this veteran right here would definitely love to be a part of that journey. So I just want to thank you for putting this all together, for keep pushing forward even after 37 years in the uniform. You know, what does service mean to you today?
Well, look, it's an honor and a privilege to serve in this country because there's so few of us that have done it, right? And, if you've had a successful career and you've served your country, it's just not over. It doesn't end there. When you get out, there's so much more that you can do for our 18 or 19 million veterans, no matter when they served, whether they served in combat or whether, they served during peacetime. There's so much more that we can do with our skills, with our leadership, our patience, and just understanding that community, understanding those veterans, right? Male or female, it doesn't make a difference. So, yeah, there's so much more we can do. And I challenge everybody out there, if you're a veteran, find a good nonprofit, find a solid nonprofit, give your time and your talent, and continue to give back to those who have given so much for our country.
Appreciate that. And I'm sure that your leadership style, from the NCO Corps to the Officer Corps style has evolved from transition from the battlefield now you're in the boardroom. So how has that helped your transition as bringing that to the boardroom to help veterans reintegrate back into society?
Well, uh, to me, it's like a continuation of my service, right? Even though I retired and I took the uniform off, I still have the same principles. I still have the same warrior ethos, right? We're not going to leave anybody behind. And, it's just been a continuation, right? And so all those skills, all those mentors, all those people that coached me along the way, that's all right up here. And, I'm just putting it to good use, and I'm going to put it to good use until they fold my flag.
That's awesome, sir. Victory for veterans, making some serious moves out there. What gap are you most passionate about filling in for today's vets?
Well, really just, number one, keeping them connected, keeping them
Right.
talking, getting that camaraderie back. There are a lot of veterans out there, men and women, that are suffering from PTSD just from transition, right?
Yeah.
And so we want to get them connected. We want them to build these friendships across the country, right? Long distance, even if it's online, right? And I can tell you, I've gotten on my motorcycle. I've done 10,000 miles in 20
Wow.
days, covering 32 states, and I've visited a lot of these veterans that I met online and that I've worked with. I've met them in person. I've shook their hand. I've given them that soldier hug, right? And it's important. And the other gap that I want to fill is the healing, right? And,
Right.
through the hyperbaric oxygen therapy, we're giving up to 40 dives free of
Oh,
charge,
wow.
okay? Up to 46-minute sessions to veterans to help with TBI, PTSD, to clear the fog, to help with the
Wow.
sleep, to help with mobility. We're getting a lot of great reviews. And, you know, the bottom line is we want to reduce veteran suicide, period.
Right. Wow. So one of the questions I have is why was founding Warriors for Life so personal to you? I know we touched on that a little bit before we started.
Well, when it hits home,
Right.
when I got back from Iraq in 2006, since that time, I've lost 3 soldiers that have died from
Right.
suicide. I lost my father-in-law in 8 December 2015. So it hits home. And when it hits
Right.
home, when it affects your family, you know, it becomes a personal mission. It becomes your personal mission to try to educate, try to reduce, you know, try to get veterans connected, and and get them talking. If they're talking,
Right.
that's a good thing. It's when they stop talking, it's when they go silent, that's when you got to get concerned.
So, what you've learned from hosting peer support sessions week after week for nearly a decade? I'm sure that's, nearly a
Oh,
decade of hosting these weekly sessions.
just everything.
Right.
The good, the bad, the ugly. What are some of the things that have been working for veterans? What are some of the things that aren't working? What I realized is, PTSD and traumatic brain injury doesn't one size doesn't fit all, right?
Right.
It affects each individually differently. There might be some similar symptoms, right, and the diagnosis that they're experiencing, but how each individual processes it and how they handle it and how it affects their life, it's different. And you learn that. And, you really just have to take that into consideration, right? And, you might have something great that you're sharing with 3 or 4 people on a call, but there might be 2 people that have already tried that and it really wasn't good for them, right? So
Right.
I like to present a topic for about 30 minutes. And then the rest of the time, I like to open it up to the group so they can talk, so they can share their story, so they can give their feedback, right? And that's so important. So, to be a good peer support specialist, you got to be a good listener.
Right. And I'm sure one of the parts of being a good listener is that you took into account of building out Reboot, right? Being a board member of Reboot. How important is transition training for identity rebuilding because we're in uniform. I've shared with you earlier, some people do one tour, maybe two tours, very few make it to retirement, but still have to rebuild their identity, right? I tell people, you come in and you serve, you're not the same person going back out or reintegrating back into society.
No, no, you're not, and you've got to you got to take those skills, that you've learned in the military. One thing good about the military, if you've had a good service period, is the leadership skills that you learn and the discipline, right? Um, and you've got to be able to take those skills along with the skills that you had prior to going into the service or the skills that you've learned through your advanced individual training, and you've got to be able to turn those into a sellable item, right, to a future employer, right? Somebody that's going to look at you and say, hey, I want that individual because he's got those skills. Oh, and besides that, he's got that extra leadership and that discipline. I know he's going to be there every day. I know he's going to show up. I know he's going to go the extra mile, right? And that's what we do at Reboot. We put them through an extensive program where we work on the resume. We work on, how to look for the proper jobs, right? How to present themselves, how to interview properly, and really get in touch with what they want to do, And if they don't want to work an hourly wage, if they don't want to work for an employer, then we push them into the entrepreneurial phase of Reboot, right? Hey, go out and start your own business, right? What's your passion? What's your purpose? What do you want to do, right? And then get those entrepreneurial skills going, and start your own business. So, yeah, it's been great, and there's a lot of automation involved in Reboot. It's been around now for almost 15 years. They're
Wow.
doing a great job across the country on getting veterans placed and getting them back to work and helping with that transition. And it's not only those people coming off of active duty. It might be a veteran who's been out for 2 or 3 or 4 years and they're still struggling, right? We still work with them as well.
Well, and one of the struggles is financial transition as well, right? So undue medical debt is tackling financial trauma. What makes this mission so personal for you?
Well, yeah, undue medical debt, a little bit different twist there, right? But it
Okay.
does affect veterans. I've been there 9 years. We've abolished and relieved a little over $126 million, affecting
Wow.
over 74,000 veterans and wiping out their medical debt that the VA did not pay for whatever reason, whether it was a mistake through the community care program. Yeah, and we do that for civilians too. So in total, we've relieved over $23 billion in healthcare across this country, which is a huge
Wow.
number. It's a huge number, but we're just scratching the surface. We're just scratching the surface. There's so much medical debt in this country, and it's the number one reason for people filing bankruptcy in this country, and that's medical debt. 69% of all bankruptcies are attributed to medical debt. So that nonprofit I'm working for out of New York, that, I love the mission. I love what we're doing. And yeah, I will continue with that as long as I can, man. It's a
Wow.
great mission.
Man, that's huge. With a B, billion with a B. That's huge. And that's one of the things that once we're in with serving active duty, right? You don't have to kind of worry about that payment, but then once you transition back, you have that gap that has to be filled, right? It took a while
Right.
for me to understand that. So I'm sure, somebody in their 20s, they're like, oh yeah, I'm strong, I'm healthy, I don't need extra insurance, but it's the education piece to that as well.
Oh, it's so important. It's so important, right? That little gap, that little time period, that you think that, hey, I'm indestructible, right? Nothing can happen to me. I'm 20 years old, I'm good for the next 2 or 3 years. Man, all of a sudden, you get on a job, you hurt yourself really bad or something, right? and you don't have any medical insurance, and here you are, you're strapped with these medical bills, man. And it 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 really weighs. And we didn't have to worry about that when we were serving, right? We had our health
Right.
care, we had our dental, we had all that stuff, right? Yeah, it's a eye-opening experience for a lot of young men and women when they transition out of the military. And I'm not saying that happens to all of them. Look, we've got
Right.
some really smart kids out there, men and women that have got college educations that have served this country, and um, they do the one or two tours, and they're thinking ahead. They're thinking 90 days out, 120 days out, and
Right.
they've got stuff lined up, right? So it's not everybody. It's not everybody. I don't want to paint this picture that, this is a problem for every veteran that gets out of the service, right? But I really want active duty personnel, that might be listening into the podcast to really think about that. Don't wait for taps. Don't sit there and wait for the tap program and get your ticket punched 3 days and get off base, right? They don't give you enough in tap, in my opinion, right? So you got to
Right.
plan ahead. You got to think out about 120 days prior, and you got to start looking. Hey, where am I going? What crib am I going back to? Right? What
Right.
hometown am I going back to? Do I have something there? Did I have a previous job? Do I have connections? Right? And you need to start tapping into those connections and start planning for that transition.
Yeah. And definitely the transition. You have some veterans that, what advice would you give to a veteran that's still struggling to find meaning after active duty service?
Get on my Victory for Veterans website and check out all my resources, man. I mean,
Nice.
no, I'm serious. I
Yeah.
mean, that's one of the things I've done as a CEO is I've got people that reach out to me all over the country right now and say, "Hey, can you add this resource? Can you add this resource?"
Mm.
So if you go out to my resource page, we have resources by state, we have national resources, we have job resources, we have grant resources. We've got a lot of resources out there, right? And we're not the only one, right? Do your research, do your homework, right? You can't sit back and wait for something to happen. You got to make it happen.
Yes. And by making that, so what is one thing before we transition off that you want to share with others? I know you said go to the website. One thing that if you could tell the young Mike Burroughs when he first came into the service that you have all this knowledge now, you'll tell the young one like, hey, this one thing you need to do when
Oh,
you come
that's
in.
it. That's an easy one. My father, who was a Korean War veteran, told me that before I got on the bus to go to Chicago to MEPS, right? He said, "Hey, when you get to boot camp, right, and you get in front of that DI, keep your mouth shut and keep your eyes straight ahead." And you know what? That's the best advice my dad ever gave me, and it's the first time I ever followed his advice. And it saved me for about 3, 4 days before I had to do my first push up. Yep. Keep your mouth
Awesome, sir.
shut, put your eyes straight, don't be a smart aleck, listen, pay attention, and you'll do good. You'll do good.
I appreciate it. Thank you for being a part of the Military Effect campaign. It's our turn to serve with Scott and his team and you sharing your resources. So once again, how can they get in contact with you? How can they get in contact with the slew of resources that you have available? Definitely in the San Antonio, Austin area, because I will be supporting that locally as well.
Well, I mean, it's real easy. I mean, look, they can go to our website and they can sign up. Okay. There's no cost, you don't get bombarded with a bunch of newsletters and stuff like that. And you have messaging capability. They can reach out to me. I answer the messages on there if they need something or if they're just asking a question. They can reach me through the website. If they want to go directly to my email, it's Michael Mikelb at victoryforveterans.org, and I'll answer the email. I get cards and letters every day through email. And if I can help you, I'll help you. If I can't help you, I'll try to find a resource for you.
Appreciate it. And for our new youngsters, you could go to Google, you give it, type it in chat. Victory is it called Victory for Vets?
No, it's Victory for Veterans, Inc.
Victory for Veterans, Inc. How do I get in contact? The resources. It will populate. Go to the website. Definitely take Michael up on it and his team. They have the resources for you to be successful. Remember, this military effect campaign is going to be year long. It's our turn to serve. It's our turn to keep paying it for people who's coming behind us, right? So we're paving the way for the others that's behind us.
Roger that. We got a whole new set of warriors that are going to be coming out this year, next year, and the following year, and all the years to come.
Well, thank you, sir. I greatly appreciate it. Remember, you do not have to drown in the sea of transition. You grab that VET SOS Lifeline. We are here to help. Please like, subscribe, share with your neighbor, share with your friend, share with your battle buddy. Until next time, everybody, take care. Peace.